Deputies report that in some instances, only parts of a corpse have been removed.
This is the HorrorDrunks podcast. This is the slasher episode. And joining again is Scott.
Hey, everybody.
Pretty much full-time.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and then Mike will eventually be on again.
Oh, really?
Just here and there, I guess.
Right.
We'll see.
And Christ will return one day.
I was going to invite him on next weekend's episode, but...
So did he become famous and decide to start doing other podcasts now?
Yeah, he's like a famous family man. Like, he's the most famous person in his house.
Yeah. He's got like three or four really huge fans. One of them's a dog, but it's a big dog.
It's a huge dog.
It's a horse dog.
Also, we are doing t-shirts now. I don't think I'm down to sell. Just kind of give them away. I don't think I could whore this product out just quite yet. Yeah.
Not yet. We need to get them hooked a little bit deeper before we start taking their money.
Yeah.
So this is the slasher episode, and continuing with our thematic episodes. Slashers, I mean, you know, you can date back...
Are you thinking like the first slasher?
Well, you could date back influence all the way back to this Hitchcock movie from his silent era called The Lodger, London Fog, or something like that.
I'm a sucker for a good Hitchcock film, so essentially I'm a Hitchcock sucker. Okay, whatever. Just had to get that one out.
Yeah, Lodger is basically a silent film about Jack the Ripper, and you know, a lot of the trappings of the future slasher film could be found there. And you know, from that point on, there's not much to be seen, and that, I mean, to my knowledge anyway, until around the mid-50s when you got Diabolique, which was very...
Diabolic. The American version.
Very influential in the slasher scene, and then obviously there was Psycho and the Giallos of Italy in the 70s and the late 60s. And that, I mean, the biggest influence on the slasher movie is obviously the Giallo. And that can't really be argued, but there are films like H.G. Lewis's Gore Girls is early 70s. We covered that one already on the cast. And that's a slasher film. Tell me it's not, you know? Mm-hmm. And that predates Halloween. It predates Black Christmas. It predates a lot of the cornerstone slasher films. So, you know, you could theoretically go back all the way to the silent era and find the slasher film in one incarnation or another, but it didn't really, you know, get off its training wheels until the 70s, as far as what we know of as the slasher film, at least in my opinion.
And then it seemed to like just have this huge popularity in the 80s. That's when like slashers were getting produced and directed like crazy.
It's a product of the post-Vietnam world, and you know, everybody's wants to see more and more violence, more and more gore, and the slasher film was the one to deliver.
And it's also the genre of horror that falls into like the biggest horror cliches.
Oh yeah. All the lines like "this isn't funny anymore" and stuff like that, and
then the whole echolocation style thing where you're constantly calling out people's names like Bob, where are you?
People call H.G. Lewis the Godfather of gore, but if you want to, you can honestly call him the Godfather of the American slasher as well, because Blood Feast came out in '63, and it was a definite reflection of Vietnam, which was all over the place in '63, and it's every movie that he did after that has a pretty similar plot line. Group of young, pretty kids gets knocked off by one or more crazy people in violent, horrific ways. Does that sound familiar to you? I mean, yeah.
And then obviously John Carpenter's Halloween was kind of what was like the cornerstone of slashers from then on out after that. Like, I think a lot of 80s slashers kind of based their movies off of Halloween's popularity. Or at least that's what started the craze of slashers, I think. Like,
I've been pretty happy in the last few years that Bob Clark's Black Christmas is getting more recognition as being...
Just got it on Blu-ray in the mail yesterday.
Yeah, that movie predates Halloween by 4 years, and is very, very, your prototypical slasher, stalk and slash. Lots of the trappings of the slasher film can be found in there.
Mm-hmm. So our first movie is Maniac.
Lock your doors, but you can't lock the madman out of your mind. Maniac. It will tear the life out of you.
So this is Maniac, and directed by William Lustig, and it was in 1980, starring Joe Spinell,
Who also wrote and produced.
who also wrote all of his own dialogue.
Yeah.
He developed that character
Frank Zito.
all by himself.
It's a hell of a character. Kind of a cross between Norman Bates and...
Like a really fat, sweaty Norman Bates.
Yeah.
He's a very sympathetic slasher, I mean,
Yeah.
you feel badly for the guy, for sure. Co-starring Carolyn Monroe from, Abominable Dr. Phibes, Dracula AD 72, Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter, or Killer, The Faceless. Great score by Jay Chataway.
Makeup effects by Tom Savini, Rob Bottin, and Candace Clements.
This has got to be one of Bottin's first.
He was probably like Tom Savini's protege for this or something.
This might be the best showcase for Savini's effects. I mean, they really don't let much time elapse between gore set pieces before you get another great show-stopping gore scene.
Well, pre-Day of the Dead. I mean, those effects in Day of the Dead are a little bit better.
They are, but he had the team that he had to work with on Day of the Dead, between like Nicotero and all those other dudes. That was, for the budget, and I guess
time even.
If we don't want to consider Day of the Dead as a contender, then this would probably be my favorite Savini effects extravaganza. But that's a hard choice because Friday Final Chapter and Prowler and what do you pick?
Maniac starts off with a nice beach scene where a couple is just relaxing and I guess not relaxing, but making out, and then
in a blanket on the beach.
Yep, and you see it through what seems to be like a stalker vision.
Well,
The viewfinder.
The opening scene here with the couple on the beach, also very reminiscent of the opening scene of Blood Feast, with the couple on the beach in the blanket.
And I read somewhere that it was like kind of a nod to Jaws as well.
Yeah, it was
okay.
because Lustig's buddy said you should make Jaws on land, and
I did not know that.
so that's kind of a nod to Jaws.
Huh, okay, well, there you go.
And I don't remember exactly what happens to the boyfriend. I think he must have got up and left or something like
He goes
that.
to get firewood.
That's right. As he's gone, you see through the killer's eyes. You see
The
through
first
the killer's
POV shot.
the POV shot and of him sneaking up on the girl and slitting her throat with a garrote or a piano wire. And that's a pretty cool shot. We see the blood slowly dripping down the body. After that, it cuts to a scene of Frank Zito waking up screaming, lying next to a mannequin covered in blood.
Well, he kills the boyfriend too. He slits the girlfriend's throat with a straight razor, and then garrotes the boyfriend.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he cuts to the scene of Frank Zito waking up screaming, lying next to the mannequin covered in blood.
And that's when we get the great Jay Chataway score kicking in.
Don't have anything written down for what happens there, but yeah, basically...
Well, he gets out of bed and he goes to the mirror, and that's when we get to, like, see him take his top off, and his chest is just, like, to quote Jeffrey Combs from The Frighteners, a roadmap of pain. Looks like he's undergone quite a bit of abuse.
Yeah,
the creepy apartment, full of fucking lit
yeah.
candles and shrines and...
really weird art hanging on
His
the wall.
art, I believe.
No, it was the Set Productions art.
But is it supposed to be Frank Zito's art? Because later
Yeah,
when
and it's supposed to be his.
he says that he's an artist. So.
I thought you were talking about the actual...
No, not Spinell's
Yeah,
art,
yeah.
but Frank Zito, the character Frank Zito's art. Yeah, the apartment is a fitting lair for Frank Zito.
Yeah, it's nice and disgusting and just kind of twisted at the same time.
And then we hit the streets.
Yep, and on the streets he ends up running into a couple prostitutes who, well, I have to say, damn hell of a deal apparently. Apparently the ultimate only costs $100.
Hey man, it's 1980.
Yeah, that's inflation.
Yeah, damn
That
inflation.
Today would be like $300. Fuck that.
What is this ultimate business? Is that butt sex?
Yeah,
I'm thinking it's pretty much everything.
Yeah, whatever
his,
you want.
His hole too. Pretty sure. But interesting thing about that shot, that day, that hotel, there was an actual prostitute murder that took place there, a beheading.
Holy shit.
Yeah, the day they were shooting that. And Lustig,
Wow.
Lustig was just happy that they had cameras on him the whole time. So.
Right?
I mean, because if you look at Spinell,
Yeah.
you might point him out.
Yeah, I love the use of the New York City streets in this. I mean, this is one of the reasons that I can't appreciate Driller Killer for the most part. Is like I would just rather watch Maniac.
Yeah.
It makes way better use of like the sleazy New York City streets and fucking, you know, the neon lights.
Even Basket Case.
Yeah, Basket Case. You know.
I love the locations in the movie too.
And several of the New York scenes were shot without a permit.
Oh yeah. Guerrilla filmmaking for sure.
Yo.
Man. Fulci style.
We'll get to that shotgun scene in a minute.
Yeah, that one's got a lot of story behind it. But yeah, then Frank decides to take the hooker up on her offer, goes to the hotel, and ends up strangling her. Right after he ends up strangling her, he runs to the bathroom and starts puking.
I love he's making her pose like a model and shit, and she like starts taking her clothes off. Keep your clothes on.
Well, I mean, the poses probably turned him off because they were not sexy.
No, she did the same thing in every
Yeah, I'll
pose.
say she wasn't very good at posing.
Jesus.
Yeah. And after he leaves the bathroom after puking, he comes out and he's crying, and as he's crying, he just starts scalping her.
Yeah, the first scalping, fucking fantastic.
Yeah, nice up close shot on that. And then after his work is done there, he heads back home, and he comes home with what looks to be like a new mannequin. That's when he just starts babbling. I didn't get a chance to write down what he said there, but he's like just constantly talking to himself in that scene.
He's talking to his mother, and he's just saying a bunch of stuff about, you know, like, why do you have to go out every night, and you know,
I told you not to go out tonight.
There's a lot of nonsensical stuff mixed in there and stuff, and he does a good job at stringing together the words of a depraved mind.
While he's babbling and everything, he ends up putting the fresh scalp on the new mannequin and kind of pretties it up.
Thumbtacks it to the scalp of the mannequin.
And then I believe it's the next day when he wakes up and he starts disassembling the shotgun.
Well, he also dressed the mannequin up in the hooker's clothes, too.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he put the shorts and the shirt that she was wearing on the mannequin. And he does that with all of the victims. Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe it's the next day he wakes up and starts disassembles the shotgun, puts it in a guitar case.
Violin.
A violin.
Yeah. Very specific detail. Violin. Not guitar.
I'll say, I'm not a guitarist, so I don't know these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great scene. That's a scene that's, you know, been aped a bunch in movies since then. The whole like, let's hit the streets, you know, get our gear ready and hit the streets. And I'm not saying that Maniac was the first movie to do that, but
like after that, you get the first cameo appearance with Tom Savini.
Yeah, outside the nightclub.
Yep, and he's it's either his girlfriend or just a chick he picked up there. And
it's definitely not his girlfriend because she says that her boyfriend's waiting at home.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.